A week before the runoff election, a state civil rights leader stepping away from the state's election task force, warning that the political climate with the Secretary of State is now hurting the election progress.
Well, today he's sharing with CBS 46's Haley Mason what's causing the friction and what will happen next. Haley?
Tracy, it's important to note this is all happening just 1 week before this big runoff election. Georgia's NAACP president tells me he believes the Secretary of State is letting partisan politics mar the work of the election task force, which was formed to help improve elections. He says Brad Raffensperger's latest criticism of a federal judge has pushed him out the door.
Just seeing what's happening now is just so disheartening.
Georgia NAACP President James Woodall says he's resigning from the Secretary of State's election task force. He's accusing Brad Raffensperger of using divisive politics and marring the nonpartisan group.
If we're going to work with him in a nonpartisan and a bipartisan fashion, we cannot have him who's over elections, continuing to promote those kind of baseless accusations.
Woodall says his final straw was this week when Raffensperger sent out this release criticizing Middle District Federal Judge Leslie Abrams Gardner for temporarily blocking a lawsuit that would have required more than 4,200 voters to use provisional ballots because their residence is being questioned.
What that lawsuit did was try to disenfranchise thousands of eligible Georgia voters, regardless if they're Democrat, regardless if they're Republican, regardless if they're black, white, Atlanta, metro, urban, it didn't matter.
Judge Gardner is the sister of Stacey Abrams. Raffensperger's office wrote, quote, Obama-appointed federal judge issued a ruling yesterday that undermines the rule of law in Georgia, referring to Gardner as the, quote, sister of the failed gubernatorial candidate. He then went on to point out Abrams' Fair Fight Group's political donations to Democrats. Woodall says he fears this messaging is a precursor to voter suppression tactics.
Once this election is over, the runoff election, the Secretary of State is going to be tasked with coming up with election reforms that could or could not impact our election process here in this state. And we are deeply concerned.
And Woodall says the task force has already begun discussing items that will head to lawmakers in the next few weeks, including Georgia's absentee ballot and mail-in ballot process, as well as the signature process, along with early voting. Woodall says the NAACP will continue working with groups that are on that task force and working with lawmakers through the next legislative session that starts in January. The Secretary of State's office did not yet respond to my request for comment on this story. Reporting live outside the state capitol, Haley Mason, CBS 46 News.